thank you for joining us this evening and welcome. We're just going to start the webinar now, and so for the next sort of 20-30 minutes we'll just be talking to you about hiring an apprentice and how we at Mascot College can support you with this. If you have any questions, please pop them in the chat room as we go along and we'll answer these at the end. So tonight we've got a panel of myself, Mandy, and Stephanie, who we both work in the business centre, and Sam, who's our apprenticeships quality person. So, welcome, as I say, welcome to our webinar.
Okay, hi, I'm Stephanie, and so I will tell you a little bit about Mascot. So we are a technical further education college in Epsom, Surrey, specializing on employment-focused training, and we offer training for 16 to 19-year-olds as well as adults, from apprenticeships to full-time courses, as well as distance learning and higher education. We've got lots of experience. We've been doing this for more than 60 years, and we have a large campus with workshops and facilities and lots of resources for our students. We deliver apprenticeships all the way from intermediate level 2 up to higher level degree apprenticeships across a wide range of subjects. And we recruit our staff from industry, so across all our courses, you can rely on and expect to have tutors and people teaching you who have experience in the real world and can sort of provide a broad range of support to any learner that you may be signing up with the college.
Thank you. I think one other key point to mention there is that Mascot was actually the country's leading college for apprenticeship achievement in 2017 to 2018, something that we were very proud of. Okay, so thinking of hiring an apprentice, so just go through what's happened to this. Okay, so would the benefits to your business to taking on an apprentice? So it will enable you to grow your talent and develop a motivated, skilled and qualified workforce, to develop skills relevant to your organisation, improve productivity and improve the quality of your product or service. Also to be able to adapt training according to the needs of your business, and also motivate employees to learn new skills. So as well as taking on a new member of staff, you can also upskill existing staff and make those apprentices as well.
Thank you, Mandy. So this on this slide, you can just see which apprenticeships we're currently offering at Mascot. So all the way, as I said earlier, from level 2 up to level 5. I would like to add that so this list of apprenticeships that you see on the screen is not set in stone. We're always eager to offer the relevant courses and curriculum to meet the needs of local employers. So if there's anything up there that you think is missing, that we need in the local area, please come and talk to us, because this is a bit of a moving feast. We've obviously got our courses that we run year in, year out, but there's always new content coming up, depending on what skills are needed in our economy. And obviously with the last sort of the impact of the pandemic and where we find ourselves in terms of our skills landscape, things are moving very quickly. So we're looking to add a lot of new content, particularly in the sort of health areas, IT, so watch the space. If there's anything there that jumps out to you, please get in touch with us and discuss your requirements and your needs, and we can either point you in the right direction if we're not currently offering the apprenticeship ourselves, or we can look at potentially putting new courses on in the future. So the other thing worth mentioning is that start dates can vary throughout the year. Obviously, the academic year starts in September, so many of our workshop-based courses in sort of Dave's area in the construction world would typically start in September. That doesn't mean, however, that we don't have flexibility to add additional courses throughout the year if the demand is there. So we've, for example, we've just started a new electrical class because there was a high demand there, and we made sure that our curriculum is flexible enough to service employers in the region. Yeah, thank you. I think that's all that we say about this slide.
Thanks, Steph. So if you are thinking of taking an apprentice on, the following are your employer obligations. So if you take an apprentice on, they need to be PAYE, they cannot be self-employed. They also need to work a minimum of 30 hours per week. This can include their 20% off the job training, which is a day at college or whatever whichever apprenticeship you're taking on. They either come to college or they do coursework separately to their role. So we will also ask you to do an employer skills scan. So this will make sure that the works that you offer meet the needs of the apprenticeship. You will also complete a health and safety assessment and employer liability insurance for the apprentice. As I said before, 20% off the job training. So 20% of their working week will need to be off the job training. As I say, if some apprenticeships will come into college, some will be where the assessor will come out on site. So it could be where the apprentice is given time, 1 day a week or a couple of hours a day to write up their coursework and to deliver their assignments. Other apprenticeships, they could come into the college for 1 week a term or one day a month. So you will also be signing up to support and supervise that apprentice whilst they're with you. So that will mean that obviously on site they're always with their mentor or somebody that's fully qualified in whichever occupation they're taking their apprenticeship in. And we as a college will also be supporting them as well through the assessor and through coming into the college. And also to take on an apprentice, you will now need to set up what we call the digital apprenticeship account. And this is where you will need to apply for the funding for the apprenticeship. And it will also be where you will receive any incentive payments that you're given to take on an apprentice. So just to sort of remind you that apprenticeships are for new members of staff and also for existing members of staff. So if you do have members of staff that you would like to upskill, they would be eligible for the apprenticeship. As I say, it does enable your staff to gain recognised qualifications right up to degree level. So we start with level 2 right through to level 7. And by taking an apprentice, you know, there's been past sort of surveys where this proves that this can reduce staff turnover and recruitment costs. And also apprenticeships are highly funded, and in addition, employers employing apprentices aged 16 to 18 may be eligible for a £1,000 government grant. Over to you, Steph.
Thank you, Mandy. So Mandy mentioned the Digital Apprenticeship Service, or DAS, account, and we're lucky enough to have Sam on the call with us tonight as our expert. Sam looks after our apprenticeships quality for Mascot College, and Sam, I don't know if you wanted to take the opportunity to talk about DAS in a little bit more detail. And there's a lot of information on the slide, but maybe just to sum up what DAS is all about and why every employer now has to register. That would be great.
Okay, so the DAS account, the Apprenticeship Digital Service, is basically, it's originally for levy paying employers to be able to spend their levy money that they pay in. So if you're an employer with over a £3 million wage bill, you would pay into the apprenticeship levy. However, from now onwards, small employers also need to register onto the digital accounts. So to register, you would need to know your apprentice's PAYE number, their national insurance number, and set up as an employer on the account. It's an easy process to follow, but we are there to support you with putting your details on as well. So from April this year, all small employers will need to register and they will need to request funding. At the moment, any employer can employ up to 10 apprentices and draw down funding for those. Okay, but obviously it is a first come, first serve. Once you've drawn down the funding, you have to use it within 3 months. So it's getting your timing right. If you're looking at an apprentice start in September, and then you need to be registering on your DAS and drawing down the funding sort of July, and that to make sure that you're in time to get that in place. At the moment, the government are offering incentive payments due to COVID for employers taking on a new apprentice between August 20 and March 21. For under 25, apprentices, they will pay an additional £2,000 incentive to the employer. And for over 25, they're paying £1,000 incentive to the employer for taking on an apprentice. But to get that funding, you do need to be registered on the DAS. So you can, when you set up your DAS account, you'll have options of giving permissions. We're quite happy and have the resource if you give Mascot the permissions to set everything else up for you, to make it simpler for you. It all comes back to you to approve, and then it all goes live once your apprenticeship starts their apprenticeship. Okay.
Thank you, Sam. That I think it's one of these, once you're registered and have your details in the system, it's all pretty straightforward, and it's quite nice to see everything in one place. And I think I just wanted to add there, if an employer has requested funding and then doesn't end up using it within the 3 months, there's no penalty or anything like that. There's no consequence. So it's always best to request the funding if you think you might need it within the next 3 months.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so this is for the Mascot employer support. So this is how we can help you through the apprenticeship stage. So for initial consultation, at the college we have a business centre. So we work to consult with all our employers and support them with the apprenticeship, which can mean helping you find an apprentice right the way through to the apprentice starting, or if you've already found your apprentice, then as I say, getting them engaged into the college and started. So at the beginning, we would do a skills analysis to help you identify the right apprenticeship for your business. So we would be able to look at all the various options that we have at the college and the different levels. Then after we've decided which is the correct apprenticeship for yourself, we can then give you some guidance and support on accessing the digital apprenticeship service, which Sam and Stephanie's just gone through, and advice and information on any latest government incentives. These do move around. The government will put an incentive in place and then that will end, and usually another one will start. Sometimes there's a time delay between them starting. Sometimes there's a blanket incentive across the age groups, and sometimes it's just an incentive for taking a 16 to 18-year-old on. And most of these government incentives are always for taking a new apprentice on. You do not usually get any incentives for upskilling existing staff. So we've decided, you want to start with the apprenticeship, you know which apprenticeship that you want to take. So then what we can offer you is our apprenticeship recruitment service. And just want to say all these services we offer you are totally free. So we can support you with the job description so to meet the apprenticeship criteria. We would then advertise your vacancy on the National Apprenticeship Service and online job boards. We would also put that on our website. And again, if you wanted to advertise it yourself on your own website. From there, we would then manage the application. So we would have a look at everybody that's applied, collect their CVs up, do initial assessment and interview shortlisting, if you so require. So we would look at the CVs, make sure that it is they have the criteria that you've put into your job description, that they have made the grades that they need to have to do the apprenticeship, which are predominantly Maths and English grade 4 in GCSE or the equivalent. And then from there, we would put all those CVs across to yourself and then support you with whoever you wanted to see in setting up interviews, contacting the students and helping you with the shortlisting. So from there, once that you have now got your candidate, we have to then start the paperwork. So for the agreement we have to put in place, which is a three-way agreement, it's between the college, the employer and the apprentice. So we need to get that agreement in place. We have to gather some information. So we would be sending you out some pro formas. We'd also send you out skill scan that you would tick just to go through that you obviously your business side meets the criteria of the standard that you're doing. And then from that information collated, we would then put together the apprenticeship agreement, and then that would be sent over to you to sign. As I mentioned before, we have a dedicated business centre and apprenticeship team. So you would have access to dedicated Mascot account managers to support your skills strategy. And you would always have a helpline, business centre line or apprenticeship line that if you've got any queries that you can contact us by email or phone to support you with any issues that you may be receiving.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you.
So successful outcomes. We just wanted to reassure you and let you know that we have quite a few things in place to ensure that our apprenticeships have successful outcomes. So for example, we wouldn't start a student if we're not confident in their abilities in order to get through the program. Nor would we start an apprenticeship if we weren't confident that the apprentice will receive the support they require in the workplace. So we make sure that we set everyone up for success from the start, and obviously put the support in place that somebody will require. We have a host of additional support available to our students, whether that's to help them with their maths and English, or providing learners with additional needs with the support and resources they require in order to get through their program and help them with their learning. The disruption we've experienced over the last 12 months has also enabled us to invest heavily in the latest technologies. So we're really, really proud to have sort of carried all our apprentices through. They've all been able to continue their learning online and stay in touch with their tutors and keep up with their program. We also, before we start anyone on an apprenticeship, we very, very closely look at their prior attainment and sort of take stock of what skill level they're at. And if somebody comes in with previous qualifications that are relevant to the apprenticeship, for example, this will be taken into account and will adjust the total negotiated price accordingly. So this is essentially a discount that will be applied to the maximum funding band that the government sets. So we will make sure if somebody's already got the skills and doesn't need to acquire them through Mascot anymore, that this will be reflected in the total cost of the apprenticeship. At the start of that journey, every applicant goes through a interview process and screening process where we make sure that we've covered all avenues and are assured that the apprenticeship is right for the candidate, for the employer, and that our apprentices have the right support in place in order to achieve a successful outcome.
Perfect, thank you. So we've talked before about hiring an apprenticeship and getting incentive payment. So some of this we've already covered, but to be eligible for an incentive payment, the apprentice must be a new employee to the business. They can't be somebody, your existing member of staff. At the moment, the current incentives is they must have a contract of employment between the start date of the 1st of August 2020 and the 31st of March 2021. So this current incentive payment will finish then. I'm not aware of if there's going to be any further from this date. But the apprentice must not have been employed by the employer within the 6 months prior to the contract start date. So, so as I said before, the new apprenticeship start date is the August the 1st, 2020 and March the 31st, 2021. So, so how much money is available and when will I receive this incentive? So there's 2 levels of payment based on the age. So for apprentice 16 to 24, the payment will be £2,000. And for apprentices aged 25 or over, the payment will be £1,500. This payment is made directly to yourselves in 2 equal instalments, where the apprentice is still in learning at day 90 and day 365. So if the apprenticeship was to finish prior to day 90 or prior to day 365, you wouldn't be getting that payment. We talked about the digital apprenticeship service before, so all payments will be made direct to you through your DAS account. There's no limit to how many times you can claim a number of incentive payments. So if you were to take on several apprentices, you would get that incentive payment for each apprentice.
Thank you. Yeah, and like you said, we haven't heard anything about this being extended yet, but the government has obviously made several adjustments already to their plan for jobs. So hopefully they will extend this incentive program as well. Right, we're nearing the end of our presentation, and just wanted to highlight a couple of our partner employers that we work with, and sort of leave you with some impressions at the end as well. We're going to take, actually, if you've got any questions, please pop them in the chat. Everybody's been very quiet this evening. It's only Tuesday, so they've got a few days to get us through the week. But if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. There will be some contact details in a minute as well. But one of our partners, Rock Electrical, you can see on the screen their feedback. They're very happy working with the college and are getting ready to take in the next cohort of apprentices from September. So another way we can support you as an employer is to put you in touch with our full-time students who are on relevant courses and may want to progress onto an apprenticeship. So this is where, for example, we support Rock with providing them with candidates that they want to take on into the program from September. Thank you. And I think we've got another employer on here, Southwestern Railway. So we work closely with Southwestern Railway and their management apprenticeships. We've got a cohort of team leaders and management apprentices. Yeah, that's working really, really well for Southwestern Railway as well. And obviously, if you work with us as an employer, we're happy to do what we've just done for these 2 partners. We're happy to promote you across our social media and newsletters and give you exposure to the local community. It's a great thing to support apprenticeships. I think a lot of forward-thinking employers are catching on to this, and we will absolutely be happy to shout about it and make sure that we give you the exposure that you'd like. So I think this brings us to the end, and we've got one question. Thank you. Do we have any issues with dropouts? Dave, you haven't had a chance to speak. Dave is our director for our built environment and construction faculty, and very experienced looking after our apprentices. So do you want to take this question, Dave?
Yeah, sure. Clearly, we work together to ensure that we recruit apprentices that will be successful. So part of our support packages through our business hub is to help you in that recruitment process. Bearing in mind they are your employee. So they have a contract of employment and must abide by that contract of employment. Simply with you or the employer for normally 4 days a week, and they're coming to college for 1 day a week, but it does vary depending on the apprenticeship. So it's all down to recruitment, really. So we have a number of our own students that are full-time, and they've got some experience and background in various disciplines, and we are happy to share those, their CVs, to see if they meet your needs and they're suitable for that. You've gone on to mention the minimum wage for apprentices. Yes, it is. It does appear low. However, it does depend very much on the sector. My background's construction, and generally, the employers don't tend to pay the minimum. They do pay a reasonable wage for a day's work. So, as I say, it's a contract of employment. So normally they're in college for 1 day a week. They're in with the employer, yourselves, and it's normal working hours. 38, 40, 42 hours a working week. Just to clarify, though, that the parameters to be classified as an apprentice can be as little as 30 hours a week, including their time in college. But again, it does depend very much on the sector.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I think very few of our employers pay the actual minimum wage for apprentices, which is currently £4.15 an hour. When employers ask us if we can support with a guide wage for the vacancy or the position they're looking to fill, we normally say, what would you offer somebody in an entry position in that role that's sort of suitable and relevant to your industry. Obviously, the more attractive the salary, the more it opens up to a wider sort of pool of applicants. So yeah, I think we would generally also say if you can afford it, offer a little bit more than minimum wage, and that will certainly give you a broader range of applicants that will come through. So just looking at the chat now, hospitality and catering. To be fair, it's challenging to fill some positions in hospitality and catering, and an attractive salary, entry-level salary, certainly helps attract applicants. But we can always try and put out a vacancy for you, put it out to our full-time students who are looking to progress into employment, and take it from there. We've got a great hospitality and catering team at the college, and we'll be really, really keen to support businesses opening up again.
There's also opportunity there for employers to potentially offer work experience to our full-time students, which basically means you have the opportunity to see how they perform actually in your establishment with no commitment other than offering them work experience. So that's always a good opportunity, and that often proves successful with employers recruiting candidates, because they get to know them, see what their work ethic is, see whether they're a good match, a good suitable, etc. And there's no commitment there, and we're always happy to work with suitable employers to offer work experience students to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just add, with our hospitality and catering, we're actually at 100% retention for that course. So with that, we've had no apprentices drop out from the ones that we've got on that program.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, I think let's wrap this up, and I've got a little video. It's I think about 3 minutes long, which will just give you an idea and a glimpse of what a day at Mascot might look like. And you've got our contact details on the screen. Please do get in touch if we can help you. thank you so much for joining us this evening. Great to see so many of you on the call.